Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, August 24th. It is now 10:36 a.m. And with six members present for the JGO committee, we have a quorum. This meeting is hereby called to order at 10:36 a.m. And today we have the continuation of the JGO hearings into the investigation of the governor's expenditure of public funds. And today's witness, we have Mr. Adrian Mendiola, a police officer from the Department of Public Safety and who is also a police boating safety captain. May we ask the witness to please come forward? And before we begin with everything, I'd like to ask everyone to please turn off or put their cell phones on silent mode to avoid any distractions and also to please adhere to the COVID protocols in place. Thank you. And may we please ask the witness, Mr. Adrian Mendiola, to rise while the House Counsel, will administer your oath. Thank you.
Mr. Adrian T. Mendiola, do you solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you shall give in the matter at hand shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Be seated.
Thank you, Mr. Mendiola. And I see you are with counsel. Is that correct? Is Mr. Anthony Uggan your counsel for this hearing? Thank you. I'll remind you to push the button when you're going to speak, and then you feel free to turn it off as well when you're not when you're going to consult with your counsel. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
And thank you for being here again. Welcome back to Counsel Anthony Uggan, and welcome Mr. Adrian Mendiola to your House chambers. You are being summoned today because the speaker has referred documents to this committee for further investigation. And before we begin our questioning, I would like to introduce the members of this committee to you so you can be acquainted with them. To my far left, we have Mr. Donald Manglonia from Rhoda, who is also the chairman for the Ways and Means Committee. We have Representative Tina Sablon, who is also the chair for Health and Welfare Committee. We have Representative Ed Probst, who chairs the Gaming Committee. And to my far right, I have Representative Richard Lizama, who is the chairperson for PUTC, and Representative Vicente Camacho, chairperson of the Federal and Foreign Affairs. In front of me, to my left, is Joe Tyheron, Mr. Joe Tyheron, who is the House Legal Counsel, and Mr. Cameron Nicholas, who is the Legislative Assistant assigned to the JGO Committee. We will go ahead and begin, get right into it, and we will recognize Representative Vicente Camacho at this time.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Officer and Council. Um, my line of questioning is just to get to know you better. So, Mr. or Officer Mendiola, please state your name and your current position.
My name is Adrian T. Mendiola. Current position is Sergeant, Police Sergeant, assigned to boating safety.
Okay, thank you. How long have you been a police officer?
Roughly around 13 years, sir.
And how long have you been a boat captain for the Department of Public Safety?
Around 5 or 6 years, sir.
Please describe your current duties and responsibilities.
I'm a shift supervisor. Likewise, I'm a boat captain, rescue boat captain, rescue diver.
Thank you. What is the mission of the Boating Safety Office?
To safeguard, as one department, safeguard life and property, sir, and enforce the boating laws,
Thank
all
you.
laws of that matter, sir.
Okay. Can you briefly describe the duties and responsibilities of boating safety?
Uh, provide, we do enforcement. We respond to any distress calls. Um, we also take care of duties on land as well. So any call that we receive on land as well, we assist with the other officers.
Okay, thank you. Uh, what DPS boating safety vessels, if any, fall under your care and supervision?
Um, we all share that responsibility, sir. There's no specific vessel. Everybody's in charge of taking care of the vessels.
Okay. So, what is the purpose of these vessels?
To provide enforcement, safety, like I said, respond to any calls, distress calls.
Okay. To your knowledge, are these vessels all federally funded?
I can't answer that, so I'm not sure how they're funded.
Okay, fair enough. Are you familiar with the terms and conditions of the recreational boating safety grant?
I'm not familiar. Like,
In any given year, on average, approximately how many search and rescue operations would these vessels be deployed for?
we receive calls like throughout the month, we get roughly around 10 calls. And that's just like a ballpark number. I can't give you an exact number, sir.
Okay. In any given year, on average, approximately how many training operations are the vessels deployed for?
Multiple. So I don't know. I know we do training and we do it on a daily or weekly basis.
Okay. How often are these vessels taken in for repairs and maintenance on average in a year?
I can't answer that, sir. I'm not too sure. I can't give you a number there.
Okay. You might know this one. Who does the repairs and maintenance?
Different shops. It all depends on what the problem is.
Okay.
Again, I don't keep up with. It's not my job to keep up with the records of who it goes to, or I'm just operating the vessel. And
Okay. Do you know if the vessels are taken to Guam for repair or maintenance?
yes, we've made some trips to Guam for repair and maintenance.
Okay. And have you ever been assigned to provide personal security details for any governor?
Yes,
And may I ask who they are, please?
Governor Ralph Torres.
Hmm. Okay. Only been him since your term.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And last question. Uh, did you or were you asked to assign a non-disclosure agreement?
No, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That's all for me. I yield back, no chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Vicente Camacho. At this time, I'd like to recognize Representative Tina Sablan.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Sergeant Mediola, and welcome back, Council. I just had a couple of follow-up questions following on Rep. Camacho's line of questioning. On the DPS boating safety vessels, could you name what vessels are part of that program at DPS?
That's in boating safety.
Yes.
We have the Zodiac 3, the Impact. We have a Zodiac 1, a jet boat, and 2 jet skis.
Okay. Those are all the vessels that fall under the boating safety program.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and
That's here in Saipan.
they're all functioning. They work
some,
well?
s-
Yeah.
some are, some
Okay.
aren't. Yeah.
Okay. And you said it's not your responsibility to take care of repairs and maintenance. Whose responsibility is that at DPS?
I don't keep track of who takes care of the maintenance. When the problems
Mhm.
arise, we request for a job order to get the vessels fixed.
Okay.
As far as who fixes the vessel, it's all dependent on what problem there is.
Okay. So there's nobody in the boating safety program that's in charge of making sure that the repairs and maintenance happens?
It's everybody's responsibility.
Everybody does
yes.
that. Okay. So you report problems to whom?
Would be the higher up. We go through the chain of command. Would be the next.
And who is that in
It'll
boating
be
safety?
either Lieutenant Emery Kaipat or David Robalaman.
Okay. And earlier you said that sometimes you're aware that boating safety vessels have had to be taken to Guam for repairs and maintenance.
Yes.
Why Guam?
Um, we have a shop there that we go through. Some of the mechanics, I guess, are not qualified to work on our vessels. Or not qualified. I'm sorry, they can't fix it, I guess. So we refer to Guam, which is the
Okay.
next option.
So for more specialized services,
Yes,
you go
more
to Guam.
specialized.
Okay. Which
yeah.
shop is that?
I think it's called Coral Reef.
Okay. Thank you. I yield, Chair.
Thank you, Representative Sablan. I recognize Representative Richard Lizalma.
Thank you, Chairwoman and Officer Mendiola. Welcome to the chamber.
Thank you, sir.
On item number 3, item number 3 says, how long have you been a boat captain for the Department of Public Safety? 5 years, 6 years. Can you tell us the type of training that you received and where?
A lot of in-house training. Receive BUI training. A lot of the operators course has been through training in-house.
So mostly local training. There's no federal training like the U.S. Coast Guard gave you training to be sure that you are certified captain.
There are trainings available for that. But
Do you keep
I've
a
never
record in your
attended-
office?
No, I have not attended any of those trainings.
You don't want no record of that in your office?
Of the training, sir?
Yes.
I'm not. Again, I'm not. I don't keep records of. I don't know about any records that
Okay.
we hold of that type that you're asking for.
You cannot recall the number of operations that this is item number 11. You say, I don't know. On number 11, it was telling you how many training operations are the vessels deployed for. Can you tell training versus mission as a captain of the boat and safety? Can you tell, oh, I'm going out on a training. Let's go, boys. Let's do a simulation. Just acting like you are going to rescue someone. Do you have that kind of training?
Yes, we do.
And you keep the record of that, sir?
I don't. Again, I don't keep any records. I'm the boat captain. I don't know if any records that we keep for training. As we go, when they when they call out for a mission, we take it as it comes from the command.
I encourage you that you keep records. But anyway, in any of those vessels, you say that's anybody's responsibility to maintain it and report it, and you don't have maintenance, what do you call record keeping in your office?
Again, sir, it's not my duty to keep records of these maintenance and stuff. We, as they come and the problems arise, we bring it up to the higher ups, and
So
They take care.
where's all those records go to? Who keeps them to say, oh, Dr. Lizama took care of you and this is the reason why? Or the maintenance officer that went up there, you saw this kind of,
again, sir, as the problems arise, I bring it up to my higher up, and they take care of it from there. They tell us which shop to go to, and we bring that boat to that shop.
all right? So you just don't have record in your office. That's
Yes, I'm
right?
not saying that we don't have records in that office. I'm saying that I'm not in charge. I cannot answer for any records that you're requesting for.
And who was in charge of the office?
Again, I bring that up to my higher ups. We work the chain of command here, sir.
What
So
about the
any-
higher up goes up, you send those reports to the higher ups, they lost the,
I cannot answer for the higher ups, sir. I'm answering on my
you
own
must need,
capacity.
so you should
here, sir.
need a record for you to back up. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I hear that.
Thank you, Representative Lizalma. Yes, recognize counsel.
Congressman was mentioning item 11 or item number 10. Is that an exhibit he's referring to? And if so,
No,
can
it
we
is
see
not.
He's mentioning a
Short
questionnaire?
recess, please.
Okay.
Back and prior to the recess, Representative Lazama was asking questions and counsel for the witness asked if they were exhibits. They are not. They are our records. Um, and that's what he was alluding to when he says number 11, number 9. It's not an exhibit. So
Okay,
thank you for, I just wanted to clarify that.
thank you for clarifying that, ma'am.
Okay. And we will go right into it to the next representative, and that will be Representative Donald Minglonia.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Officer Mendiola, Council Aguilar.
Wait, sir.
Can I get the June 19 memo up on the screen, please? And this is a memo to travel section indicating a February 9, 2017 boat trip to Rota and Guam. Or the memo is actually dated for June 19.
Yes.
Officer Mendiola, are the documents and records that you have provided to this committee on August 16, 2021 factual and accurate?
Yes, sir.
All right, at this time, Madam Chair, can we enter this memo as exhibit Cam verify, please, 34. Officer Mendiola, do you have that memo in front of you?
Yes, sir, I have it right in front of me and on the screen as well. You can see it.
Is this your signature on the June 19 memo memorandum to travel section?
Yes,
And who prepared this document for you?
I don't recall, sir. I don't recall who prepared the document.
Do you know why this memo was submitted?
It would be for a
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
travel report, sir.
Do you know why was it submitted so late, 4 months after the trip was completed?
I don't recall. This is 2017. I've been on many trips before, and again, I can't give you a definite answer on why it was returned in late, sir.
Fair enough. Now, the memo states that the purpose of this trip was to escort the governor. Was that really the purpose?
Yes, I stayed on the document, sir.
Do you know who else was on this boat?
Everybody's name is listed on there, sir.
And can you just state for the record who they are?
You want me to read it out from the document?
Yes.
The PO3 Emery Kaipat, PO3 David Rubalaman, PO3 Arnold Semen, and myself.
All right. And would you happen to recall what you did on Guam during this trip?
This was back in 2017, sir. Of course, it'd be to escort the governor, which is our primary mission.
Do you recall who instructed you to go on this trip?
All instructions for the trip goes up to the chain. So as the trips come, we get the orders from the chain of command, would be the lieutenant, or in this case, PO3 David Rubalaman or Emery Kaipat.
So you don't know if this came from the commissioner?
I don't know who directly. I get my orders directly from Emery and
Do you recall what was your
David.
role on this trip?
I was one of the captains.
And was the governor on the boat at any point during this trip?
Yes, I stated in the document, he was there.
So he was, yes.
Excuse me, Rep. Donald. I want to remind the witness that you are under oath during these hearings. And I want to ask a clarifying question before Rep. Donald continues. Are you agreeing on this document, or do you actually recall that the governor?
Again, ma'am, this is 2017.
I
I've
understand
taken
that.
so many boat trips, and I
Yeah.
can literally say 100.
Uh-huh.
And I don't recall what I have based under whatever supporting documents you have. I will use that just like any notes I would use out in the field,
Mhm.
whether it be 2-3 years past. We rely on notes.
Okay.
So
I
what's provided
understood.
here is what I can recall. 2017. This is how many years back?
We understand.
Yes. So I'm
So
relying
you're-
on this document that you guys are referring to.
I'm sorry?
I'm relying on the document that you guys are provided to me, and I provided to you guys as well.
And you earlier said this is factual, right?
Yes.
So what is stated on this document is true and correct to the best of your knowledge. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. So prior to you asking your clarifying questions, please note that our Officer Mendiola stated that the governor was on this trip. Can I ask the LA to bring up the governor's TA 327573, February 9 to 14, 2017 documents?
Sorry, Chair, I have to
specifically-
object to Congressman's prior statement. He said according to the document that the governor was on the trip. He's not saying that he remembers that the governor was on the boat. He's saying that according to the document, the governor was on the boat.
Well, I asked him, was the governor on the boat at any time during this trip? And all he said was yes.
According to the document. So just to be clear. It misstates testimony.
All right. So going back to this Guam trip, do you recall if the governor was on the boat at any point during this trip?
On this, like I said, sir, based on a document, it states that he's on that trip, on that boat. 2017. If we were deployed to escort him, of course we would be escorting him.
Recognize Representative Tina Sablan.
Thank you. Sergeant Mendiola, you said that to the best of your knowledge, this document is accurate, right? This trip report that's dated June 2017, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
For the
And-
third time.
and-
it's true to-
Right. And would there be any reason why you would say in a trip report that the governor was on this trip if the governor was not on this trip?
Can you rephrase that question?
Is there any reason why a trip report that you signed would indicate that the governor was on this boat if he was not on the boat?
I still don't understand your question.
You're saying this report is accurate?
Yes, it is.
Yes. And to the best of your knowledge, Governor Torres was on this trip, on this boat?
Yes. I referred to the documents that you guys are giving me.
Right, right,
It's a trip report that states what happened in that trip.
right. And you signed it, and that is your
Yes.
signature? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Sablan. Representative Donald Manglonia, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Can we go back to the governor's TA for a trip he took between February 9 to 14, specifically February 9 boarding pass, Saipan to Narita? Officer Mendiola, do you have that in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Are you aware that the governor was traveling to Narita on this day?
No, I don't recall. This is not my. This isn't my TA.
Right. Okay. Now, if the governor was not being escorted to Guam on February 9th, which was stated on your your trip report, what was the purpose of this trip?
Are you referring to this document right here?
No, the trip report.
Okay, you're showing me Exhibit 35, and you're referring to Exhibit 34?
Are we referring to both? So the Exhibit 35 would be the governor's trip report along with the boarding passes. So you were not aware that the governor had traveled to Narita on this day?
I am not. Again, I'm not. I don't keep it. I'm not in charge of his records, or this is the first time I'm seeing this document, and I'm.
Okay, but you clearly stated that according to your trip report, which you signed, that the governor was escorted between February 9 and February 10th.
I don't recall. I don't know.
All right. Other than the officers named on your trip report, are you aware of anyone else who was on that boat?
Again, the names are written on the document.
Right, but those are other police officers. Do you know of anyone else who is not a police officer that was on that boat?
Again, this is 2017. And for me to recall that far back, I've taken hundreds of trips. And I don't recall everybody on that vessel. So we rely on these documents that is provided to you guys to recall.
All right. Thank you, Officer Mendola. I yield for now.
Thank you, Rep. Manglonia. Couple of questions. You said you've taken hundreds of boat trips. Is that correct?
That's just like a figure of speech in
Understood.
a lot.
Understood. Do you recall the average how many times you've taken trips with the governor?
No, I don't recall
Don't
like
recall.
how many.
You want to give an estimate, maybe?
I
Per
don't want to
year
give,
or-
I don't want to throw a number out there that I'm not too sure of.
Understood. Okay, thank you. Okay, can we have the LA pull up exhibit marked as exhibit 36 at this time? Thank you. Officer Mendiola, this is a travel document that you performed or submitted after you've performed the trip. It's a Saipan Rhoda Saipan travel voucher. Do you see it? It's marked as, it is travel authorization number 33850. Is that your document?
Yes, that's my signature on that paper.
Okay. Can you scroll down, please? Some more. Down, not up. Do you see any type of graphical errors on this document, Officer Mandiola? Or is anything missing from it?
I wouldn't know, ma'am.
You wouldn't know. Okay, fair enough. Would you say these documents are accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so it's fair to say that on September 15th, you traveled from Saipan to Rhoda, is that correct?
Yes, as stated on the document, ma'am.
Okay, can we scroll down to the travel authorization, Cam? The part where it has the per diem calculation? Okay, there we go. Do you recall receiving per diem for $250 for this travel?
Based on the document, ma'am, it shows that I did receive $250.
Okay. And when you traveled to Rhoda, the transportation says zero. Is this a boat trip then to Rhoda? To the best of your recollection?
Say again, is this a boat trip to Rhoda? Is that what you
Yes,
asked?
yes.
Yes,
It is, okay. Do you recall where you stayed at in Rhoda?
No, ma'am. There's a couple of places that I don't recall
Okay.
exactly where.
Do you recall staying at the Rhoda resort on this particular travel?
I don't recall which exact hotel I was at. Again, there's multiple hotels that we would use, but I don't know whether this was a specific date or I don't recall.
Okay, fair enough. Do you recall staying in the same hotel as the governor during this travel period?
Again, I don't recall, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, can we scroll up to the purpose, Cam? Yes. Okay, stop. The purpose of the TA. It says to provide protected service detail for the governor, travel to be performed in the best interest of the CNMI government. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall if there was a cabinet meeting in Rhoda during this trip?
I don't recall, ma'am. My job is to drive that vessel there. As far as what they're doing or I provide security detail.
Were you providing protective service detail on this particular trip?
I operated the vessel.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, what DPS boating vessel did you use during this trip?
Again, it doesn't state on this document, but I'm not too, I can't recall which specific vessel we used.
Okay, fair enough. So for trips to Rhoda, would it usually be the Impact or the Zodiac? Both, right? Is that correct?
It'll be either or.
Either or,
Yes.
but not the jet boat, is that correct? Or what is it?
I wouldn't be a smaller vessel.
It wouldn't be a smaller vessel. Okay, so assuming, let's say it would be the impact boat, what is the horsepower on those engines?
900 horsepower, ma'am.
And how many engines are there, say, on the impact boat?
3.
3 engines. How about for the Zodiac? How many horsepowers or horsepower for the engine you use on the Zodiacs?
Roughly around 400.
And how many engines are on the Zodiac?
2.
For both the Zodiac 1 and 3?
I'm referring to Zodiac 3, ma'am.
Is Zodiac 1 down or inoperable? No. Yes or no?
Are we referring to this at this specific time?
No, just a general question. Is the Zodiac 1 operable or inoperable at this time? At this time.
There are times when it has to be repaired and it will be inoperable, but at this time it's running.
It's running. Okay, and on the Zodiac 1, how many horsepowers are on the engines?
There's twin 90s.
Twin 90. So 2 engines,
Two
is that
engines.
correct? Do you know if they are gas or diesel based engines?
For which specific vessel, ma'am?
Impact, let's say impact.
Impact is a gas vessel.
Gas. How about the Zodiac? Zodiac 1.
Zodiac 1 is a gas vessel.
How about Zodiac 3?
Zodiac 3 was a diesel.
Was a diesel.
Yeah. And now is a gas.
This is the same boat?
Yes.
Okay. So you changed the engines. Is that
I-
correct? Is that what happened?
I didn't change the engines. That it was.
Thank you. Yes, you're correct. Was the engine changed from diesel to now gas
Yes.
engines? Okay, thank you. Okay, what is the average fuel consumption for, let's say, the impact boat from here to Rota?
That varies, ma'am, depending on the weather and how fast we're going and the load that we take. I cannot give you a definite answer on how much we consume.
Okay, how about, and that applies to the Zodiac boats, is that correct?
That applies to all vessels.
Okay. Let's say, assuming no cargo on an impact, how much fuel would you burn, let's say for a one-way trip to Rota?
Again, ma'am, it really all depends on how that weather is that day.
Okay.
So for me to give you a number I don't want to.
Would you be able to give us a range, maybe from 30 to 70
I
gallons?
can
Or,
tell you we travel on a full tank there.
and what's a full tank
Full
for?
tank is 300 gallons.
300 gallons on the
Yes,
impact.
Yes.
So every time you go to Rota, you always have to have a full tank. Is that correct?
Anytime we operate that boat, we leave on a full tank.
The impact boat.
Any boat that we.
Oh,
Yes.
so it's always on a full tank. How about the Zodiac one? And you said it's 300 gallons, right, for the impact for a full?
Roughly around 300.
Okay. How about for the Zodiac one? What's a full tank? How many gallons?
For the Zodiac one, I'm not too sure how many gallons that.
How about the Zodiac 3?
Roughly around 190.
190. Okay, and on this particular travel dates, between September 15 to the 17th, 2017, were there any boating safety missions conducted on this trip? Meaning, did you respond to any distress calls, any overdue swimmers? Do you recall?
On this date?
Yes,
Say,
sir.
On what date, ma'am?
September 15th to the 17th. Do you recall
What document are we referring to?
your travel document, TA number 3338850? Do you recall if any boating safety missions were conducted on this trip?
No, I don't. I don't recall if there was any. You're asking if there was any distress or.
That's correct.
I don't recall if there was any distress on that day, ma'am.
Thank you. To your knowledge, why was it necessary to take a boat trip to Rhoda on this particular during this particular time period?
The orders were given to provide PSD.
Okay, and who did you receive word from?
Again, that comes down from the chain of command.
Chain
Would
of
be
command.
Emery Kuiper or David Robalman at that time.
Okay, and who do they receive their orders from?
Would be the next in line. Would be a captain.
And do you recall who the captain was?
I don't regret.
Okay, that's fine. So who would be responsible to prepare the boat to make sure it's safe, to ensure that all the emergency equipment is on board? Who prepares the boat?
That's everybody's duty, man.
I'm sorry?
That's everybody's duty.
Okay.
We all share that responsibility.
So it's not the boat captain in particular who ensures that everything is in place.
We do a check if
Okay.
everything right before that vessel goes out. We make sure everything is topped off and ready to.
And that
go.
would be the boat captain's responsibility. Is that
Yep.
correct? Because you're operating the boat. You want to make sure
Yes,
that
we
your
all do it.
passengers,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
you want to make sure that your passengers or cargo will be safe, that you're going to be safe. So as a captain, you would be also primarily responsible for ensuring that all safety and emergency equipment is on board. Is that correct?
Yes. Again, we share that responsibility. Everybody knows what needs to be done, and my job is to make sure that it's all been checked off before that vessel leaves.
Would you check off? Is there a checklist or how do you?
Not necessarily. I just have it off the top of my head.
Okay. But before you operate any vessel, right, as a boat captain, you have to ensure yourself also that all these equipment and everything is prepared. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you know who paid for the gasoline for this particular trip?
I, I, I don't. I'm not in charge of gassing the vessel, man.
Okay, you're not in charge. Uh, do you know who is? Which one of your crew?
It will be anybody on the ground crew that's available to gas that vessel.
Do you know if Governor Torres paid for the gasoline for this particular trip?
I don't know. Again, I don't know who pays for the gas. I don't know what account they use. That's not my job to keep track of the who pays for it or gassing it in that manner.
And do you recall if Governor Torres was actually on this boat during this particular travel period?
State on the document, ma'am. Yes.
Do you know if Mrs. Diane Torres was on this boat?
No, I don't recall if
Don't
she
recall.
was there.
Have you ever had any occasion where Mrs. Diane Torres was actually on a boating safety boat being transported anywhere?
Yes.
Yes. Do you recall how many times?
No, I don't recall, ma'am.
And is she always with the governor on these boating safety boats and when they go when she travels on the boating safety boat?
No.
No. So she's not always with the governor. Sometimes it's by herself. Is that what you're saying?
Again, are you asking is if she is with the governor at all times? No, she's
Yes.
not.
No, she's not.
Yes.
So sometimes she's by herself. That's what you're saying, right?
Again,
Or with not with the governor. Sometimes she's not with the governor.
Yes.
Okay. I'm s-
I'm
on the
kind of
boat.
confused by your question, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you rephrase that?
Okay. To the best of your recollection, when Mrs. Torres um, goes on these boat trips, on boating safety boats, is she always accompanied by the governor? When she
Sometimes she is, sometimes she's not.
sometimes she is and sometimes she's not. Thank you. Okay, have you ever been assigned as a personal security detail for Governor Torres and or Mrs. Diane Torres?
Again, if I operate the boats,
Mhm.
that's as far as that goes. Whenever we get a detail,
Would you consider that being a personal security or
yes,
protective security
we
detail?
provide. I make sure he gets there safely, as well as his family
Okay. As well as his family.
or whoever's traveling with him. Or
Okay. Do you recall who else was on the boat during this travel period, September 15th to the 17th, 2017?
ma'am, again, this is 2017. Whatever stated on that document would be. I'm trying to recollect, but I don't recall who exactly was on that trip.
That's fine. Do you recall if any other private boat was being escorted during this trip?
I don't recall, ma'am. Again, I'm basing myself off of this document. This is back in 2017.
Sure. Um, do you recall what cargo, if any, was on this trip?
No,
No.
I don't recall.
Do you recall if there were any fishing supplies
Again, I don't recall, ma'am.
or any alcohol transported to Rhoda?
I don't recall any cargo that was taken.
Okay.
Again, like they come on the boat, I get a head count and make sure that head count is there when we arrive and when we arrive back.
Okay.
That's as far as me. As far as who rides that vessel, I don't recall who's.
Okay. Do you recall if there was any fishing along the way to Rhoda?
No,
No. Okay.
I don't recall.
So when you got to Rhoda, do you recall who else stayed at the Rhoda resort?
Is that referring to like our employees for DPS?
Sure. Anybody?
This whoever's on that trip um, stated Emery, Arnold, myself, and Officer Just Wobble.
Okay. So when you guys travel together, you generally tend to stay in the same area. Is that correct? Or same hotel?
Yes.
Okay. And why would that be?
I mean, that's pretty much been a practice. We all
Okay.
get the same, stay in the same area.
Okay. Do you recall if any of the governor's relatives stayed at the Rhoda resort?
No, I don't recall where they stayed.
Do you recall if any of the governor's immediate relatives attended a cabinet meeting in Rhoda?
Again, ma'am, I don't recall any of those.
Fair enough. Do you recall if Mrs. Diane Torres attended a cabinet meeting in Rhoda during this particular travel period?
No, ma'am. Ma'am, I don't. I get the orders to drive the vessel. As far as what they're doing on that island, I'm
But you also stated you were providing protective security detail
as an operator.
of the boat.
Yes,
So let's say,
that would be considered a PSD.
so let's say the governor went on this trip as well. You attended a cabinet meeting. So where would you and the boat crew be?
Once we secure the vessel, we're basically
Free to roam or?
we just recover, make sure that the vessel's ready for the next trip, or if anything should happen, we secure it.
Okay. So you don't necessarily follow him to
No,
whatever.
my job is to make sure that that vessel is ready to go at any time. So my focus is making sure that vessel is there and nobody messes with it or
Okay. Do you recall any political activities during this trip being conducted in Rhoda?
no, ma'am.
No. Okay. That's all I have. Are there any clarifying questions from the members? Recognize Representative Tina Sablon.
Thank you, Chair. And Sergeant Mendiola, thank you for answering our questions as best as you can, to the best of your knowledge. I wanted to ask some clarifying questions following on the Chair's line. Is it your responsibility as the boat captain to keep a logbook of activities involving the use of DPS boats?
No, that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to operate that vessel and make sure that everybody makes it to their destination and back safely.
So whose responsibility is it to keep that logbook?
That would be anybody in the ground crew, whoever's on land when we make it back. It will be anybody available, whoever's not cleaning the vessel or getting the vessel prepped up.
Anybody can keep this logbook? Nobody is assigned, like whenever your DPS boats go out,
Yes,
you're the captain, right? It Anybody
whoever's
can
available
prepare
at
this
that time,
logbook?
we all share the
Okay.
duty to update that.
Okay, but you yourself don't do that.
No, we usually whoever's on that vessel on that trip,
Mhm,
they get down. People that have been on the ground
mhm,
start taking care of the vessel while it being on these boats, you get beat up.
mhm.
So we're pretty much exhausted from the trip.
Okay,
So as far as taking care of the vessel and all that, it's whoever stayed back that takes care of the rest of the fueling and
right.
whatever document needs to be filled out.
Right. So I'm referring to the log sheets that we've seen that have been
Yes.
submitted to this committee, right?
Yes.
So who was on the boat, how much fuel was used? The boat captain wouldn't do that.
No, not
Somebody else
necessarily.
would. Okay.
It will be whoever was not on the boat.
Anybody in boating safety can do that.
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, you said you couldn't recall what cargo was on this trip, but can you recall alcohol ever being transported on a DPS boat for any trip?
I don't recall any.
You don't recall ever seeing any alcohol on any trip
Again, ma'am,
using a DPS boat?
my duty is to make sure that those people make it. As far as what they put on the boat,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what they put on the boat, or I can't recall what they put on the boat.
Mm-hmm. And
It's the head count that I do.
okay,
I have other things to worry about as that vessel goes about. So
sure. But what about the weight of the vessel? Who ensures that the boat isn't too heavily loaded?
that would be me.
That would be you.
Yes.
So you do have to pay attention to what cargo gets loaded
Where it's
Then.
placed,
and how much it weighs.
we don't have a scale there to kind of weigh it out.
Okay.
I know that the boat can take a big load,
Mm-hmm.
so I just judge it by eyeball.
I see.
As far as to give you an exact of how many each passenger or each cargo.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what about you mentioned you couldn't recall ever seeing fishing supplies on this trip, but have you ever seen fishing supplies or equipment, ice chests, anything like that on any DPS boat since you've been a captain?
Yes.
Okay. In including trips with the governor.
Again, I don't recall like a specific time or when that was.
Okay, but you recall seeing fishing activities happening on DPS boats since you've been a boat captain.
You asking about fishing activity?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. But you don't recall who was fishing.
No, I don't
No.
recall, ma'am.
Okay. All right. And if it's okay, Madam Chair, I would like to clarify some of the discrepancies in the earlier trip report that was dated June, but for a trip that purportedly happened in February. Could we just ask some brief questions to clarify that part, just so we're clear on where the discrepancies might be?
Sure.
Okay. Cam, would you please bring back the memo, Exhibit 34, thank you, for June 19. So, Sergeant Mendiola, you saw this trip report and you also saw the governor's travel documents for the same day where he was traveling to Narita on February 9th, on the same day that this trip from Saipan to Guam happened on the DPS boat. And you would agree, right, that it's not possible for Governor Torres to have been both on the plane traveling to Narita and on the boat to Guam on February 9th, 2017, right?
Ma'am, you're trying to make me think that I'm basing myself off this document that is provided. This is
Right.
back in 2017.
I understand that, but you would
You
agree that it's
understand
not possible for anybody to be in two places at the same time, traveling on a boat to Guam on February 9th and traveling on a plane to Narita, right?
Of course, that's not possible.
Okay. So is it possible then that there might be an error in this report?
This report was prepared to the best of my knowledge,
Mhm.
and anything that's stated on this document is what I can remember.
Okay. Now, what you also provided, though, to this committee were travel records for a June 2017 trip, June 9th, 2017. And Cam, do you have that with you? Can we pull that up? Okay. We could go to the travel voucher.
Yeah. I don't know anything about that document.
For Adrian Mendiola. It was attached to. It was attached. There we go. Okay. No, that's September. I'm sorry. Can we take a quick recess? We'll pull up the documents.
Short recess. Everyone, we are now back from recess, and before we broke up for recess, Representative Tina Sablan still had the floor. Recognize Representative Sablan.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And at this time, I'd like to just go ahead and submit these June 2017 travel documents for the record as Exhibit 39. Just going back to our line of questioning, Sergeant Mendiola, if we could return to the memo, the trip report that you submitted of June 2017.
Exhibit 34, is that the correct one?
Yes, yes. So this exhibit, um, is it possible that there was an error in the dates that were provided for this trip in your June 2017 trip report?
That's possible, ma'am. Again,
Mhm.
I'm not too sure about the dates that you're asking for with the travel voucher and everything, but it could be possible. Could possibly be a typo or
Okay, yeah, because this memo is dated June, sorry, could you scroll up, Cam? This memo is dated June 19, 2017. And then the memo indicates the trip happened in February 9th and 10th, 2017. But the documents that you provided, the travel documents that you provided that came after that memo, indicated a June 9th and 10th, 2017 boat trip to Guam,
okay.
to Rota and Guam to escort the governor.
Yeah, it's possibly a typo on that document.
Okay, thank you. And if we could get to the trip report for June 2017, Cam. So this would be Exhibit 39. Thank you. Um, and this trip report indicates travel to Guam, and then the accompanying memo from the commissioner, which comes after that. This is a memo from the commissioner to the Secretary of Finance indicating that the purpose of the trip is to escort Governor Ralph de Leon Guerrero Torres to Rota and to Guam by boat. Right, and I know this was 2017, but do you recall taking this trip to escort the governor first to Rota, according to this report or to this memo, and then to Guam?
Again, I don't recall. Like I need another supporting document to. As it says on the document, we took the trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As far as details of the trip, it's to provide PSD for the governor.
Right. And were you aware of what the governor's purpose of this June trip to Rota might have been?
No, ma'am.
No.
I
And
don't recall.
were you aware of what the purpose of the governor's trip to Guam by boat might have been?
Again, my job is to get him there.
Understood. As the operator, right?
As the operator, as far as following him around, I don't follow him around or.
Right, right. And would anyone at DPS be apprised of the purpose of the governor's trips
I can't speak
To-
on behalf of them.
to
ma'am.
any of the other islands when a DPS boat is being used?
I wouldn't know if they would. I can't speak on behalf of them.
But when you get your orders
Yes.
from your higher up, they don't tell you what the purpose of the trip is. It's
Not-
just to provide.
To provide the PSD.
The
from
PSD.
Point A to point B.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. I yield at this time.
Thank you. I have one, or I'll recognize Representative Lizalma at this time before I ask my clarifying question.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you, Chairwoman. Mr. Mindiola,
Sir.
Rep Tina Sablan already asked you a lot of these questions, but you also mentioned that you know the weight of personnel, the weight of cargo before you launch that boat, correct? Because they brief you, correct?
Do I know?
The
do I know the weight?
The weight of
no,
the
no, I don't know the weight of.
So she just asked you. You have to know, make sure it's not overloaded or not within the weight standard. You said yes. You are aware of that.
Well, we don't stand by the boat with a scale and weigh everybody or everything. So if you're asking me, do I know the weight? I don't.
Did I give you at least an estimate on a paper as a boat captain? You look at it. Okay. I'll sign this off. Yeah, did you ever have to sign off a
No,
manifest or anything like that?
no, sir.
But you know the number of people on board. If you have to,
Yes,
you remember that whatsoever.
yes,
Because if one falls down, you will know that one per person falls down, correct?
yes, sir.
I just want to clarify that. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Rep. Lizalma. I just have one question with respect to the September 2017 trip that you took, Officer Mendiola, to Rhoda. And then after that, just to let you know, we will break for lunch and we will come back at around 2 p.m. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can we go back to that September travel, please, Cam? Can we go to the travel authorization with the per diem on it? Okay, so that's it. Go back down to the per diem. You earlier testified that based on these documents, you did receive $250 per diem. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall if you paid, because per diem is given to a traveler to pay for their room and board, a room and meals and incidental expenses, is that, do you recall paying for your room with this per diem?
Yes.
You did pay
It
for
would.
it?
That's what the money's for.
Okay.
We
So you paid for it, right? Is
Yes.
that correct? Thank you. That was all I have. We can break for lunch now and we will see you both at 2 p.m. today. Thank you.
Thank you.
This meeting is hereby in recess.